Boks by 10, we always say it, but we'll take one. I didn't really mean it literally when I said we'd take one. 29-28. We're in Cape Town. The sun is shining. It's glorious this morning. It wouldn't have been if we had the 28 and they'd had the 29. But as the old saying goes, looks at the scoreboard. The scoreboard favoured us. What an incredible end to the playoffs. I thought I wouldn't see a better game than Ireland against New Zealand the night before. In terms of drama and intensity, and especially that first half, Zels. Well, just something else. France, South Africa. Your thoughts, mate?
Mate, what a fantastic weekend for rugby. We've taken a few shots. I don't know if you've noticed, taken a few shots at the World Cup. But this opening round of the playoffs was absolutely sensational for all of the right reasons. Referees generally are not hogging the headlines on Monday morning outside of Paris. And just the spectacle, the nature of the contests. From a marketing point of view, you've got to be very happy this morning because the playoffs delivered and then some.
So they need to do the draw 3.5 years in advance.
I mean, let's draw now for 20, 30, whatever.
You got the most amazing quarterfinals, hopefully 2 gimmies for a semi-final, and then you got an amazing final waiting. South Africa defending champions up against the host France, who have been outstanding for the best part of 2 years under Antoine Dupont and Fabien Galtier. Wow. It needed something special from a very special team to beat France last night. And the Springboks, world champions, World Cup holders. And right now, again, number 1 in the world for what those rankings are worth.
Let's go!
World rugby order has been restored. South Africa 1, New Zealand 2. I said it to you just before, like when we spoke a bit earlier this morning. That, if you're taking heavyweight boxing parlance, that was a champion who got pounded early on and somehow just hung on. And when that champion took the knee, there were times where we had a very charitable referee in Ben O'Keefe who not only gave us a bit of smelling salts, but sent France to their corner and chased them and gave us an extra 10, 11 seconds before starting the count.
Mate.
Periods 40 minutes to 60 minutes. Most other teams would have been buried and buried big. How we were still in that game on 60 minutes. Just an absolute testament to the courage, the heart, and the spirit of that Springbok side.
Yeah, spot on. If you said to me, what is the one thing? Give me it in a sentence. What is it about this match that blew you away? Just the spirit, the determination, the fight for each other, the brotherhood in that Bok team was just something to behold. I mean, the numbers, we leaked line breaks, we leaked defenders beaten, we didn't stop them in the collisions all the time. The way those guys scrambled for each other for 80 minutes, the doggedness of this team, just incredible.
Give us the raw.
Guys, it's Ricky. I'm back. It's great to see everybody on a Monday after such a big win. For all these Springbok fans, I'm sure that you slept well last night. And it wasn't just the beers, it was the victory. And your Springboks are on the way to the semifinals and then to play the All Blacks. And this is the game that we've all been waiting for. I'm very happy on this Monday morning to also be among you, the Springbok fans. Let's have a good week, and let's keep our eye on the ball, okay?
Nice to see Ricky in traditional black, because it's fashionable, not because he's a closet All Black fan. But you talk about Ticker and Mongrel and the way they hustle into that. You talk about statistics. Gain line advantage 51-21 to France. What I thought was incredibly telling was how they refused to kick the ball out. Kind of negated one of our big strengths, which is the line-out drive. We had 4 line-outs in the whole game, and 2 of them they contested, and we scrambled to get it back. It was effectively 1 play from the line-outs. When it came to the scrums, they had 7 scrum feeds, we had 5. So 5 scrum feeds and 4 line-outs depowered the biggest part of our game. And then Dupont's kicking over the scrum from the base. those little chip short kicks. Wow, it's tactically they were just supreme. But we had the ball for 99 seconds in that first half, and we scored 3 tries.
I mean, mate.
It was All Black like. Defend, 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 strike. Defend, strike. I mean, it's just the counter-attacking. I hope JK watched that game. See, we can play a bit when we're on the counter.
That Kurtley Orenser, I don't know if it's legal, but they should consider letting him play with a cape, because that guy is a superhero. He's like something out of PlayStation. You know, wingers are generally quite temperamental guys, blow hot and cold. When they're hot, they're unstoppable. When they're cold, it takes time to get them fired up. That guy, they plug him in and he delivers every single time he's on the field, regardless of whether he played last week or not. Every touch of the ball, taking up and unders, try saving, scrambling back to go get the ball out of play. Just phenomenal. Ches and Colby, those two guys, for all the grit and the determination I spoke about in defense, and it was vital. It was the foundation of the win. You don't win if when you get your opportunities, you don't take them. Those guys got half a sniff, and they went the whole way. Just absolutely incredible. And then obviously Dukes came through in the clutch as well. But just, the argument in favor of picking little guys that can fly, who are dynamic and explosive, is that they can do those things, and those guys did it every single chance they got. Incredible.
But you talk about little guys. I mean, the size of their hearts, the size of their ticker.
Spot on.
Cheslin Colby may as well be 6'9", the way he defends, the way he attacks. That charge down of Ramos, 12 all in the 23rd minute, 2 points, and ultimately that was the difference in terms of scoreboard. And they could never get those 2 points back.
Yeah.
And just the psychology of it. I mean, we speak about ticker, we speak about the aggression, the passion, and the victory. I mean, to come away with a victory like that, given how well France played. We're going to chat about Ireland and All Blacks a little bit later, but I've been reading on social media, people, Ireland didn't really pitch. It wasn't the best. Ireland were outstanding against New Zealand. New Zealand were just absolutely magnificent in their defense. And when they did strike, Joe Smith's attack came in there, 1 or 2 plays, especially the Mohanga Will Jordan try. So it wasn't a case that Ireland didn't pitch and they got beaten. It certainly wasn't a case that France choked or didn't pitch. France would have blown any other team away by 20, 25 points last night.
Yeah.
They were just brutally brilliant in that opening 10 minutes. They scored 7 points heroically. Even Atsabet did the big dive. Many a referee would have sent him off for stopping the try.
Yeah.
Ben O'Keefe, and if we had got the 28 points, I guess all of South Africa would have been on his case, as all of France is on his case now.
Yeah.
I thought in the context of the game, seldom have I seen the Springboks be given the rub of the green.
Exactly.
As
mate.
much as we were, especially in that first hour.
Yeah, it's not so much that Urban knocked the ball on, or, O'Keefe made the right calls, but we're just very used to, in those situations, those 50-50 situations, of coming off on the wrong side of it. And in this game, it seemed like the 50-50s went our way and across the board, and that was fantastic to see. So I can totally see how the French public would be looking at that from the other side and going, the ref cost us the game or something to that effect, as would we. But I thought O'Keefe was really good. The Boks can definitely not complain about the ref. And across the board, like I said at the beginning, just the spectacle that was on offer in the quarterfinals, just amazing.
Did the French aggression, their strength, their physicality at the breakdown, did that shock you?
No, so their kicking tactics is what made this game the contest that it was. In that first half, I thought we were going to see a 60, 70, 80-point game. I mean, it was just try. What they did was, remember a while back, teams were accusing us of slowing the game down too much, taking too long to get the line out going, dragging the ball in play down. France went out there to get the tempo up and to take the set piece off the table. So there were a few lineouts and scrums, as you mentioned, and then keep the ball in play and keep the game moving, so that there's less time to get structured in how you defend. You're not defending from set pieces all the time. You're having to deal with a much more fluid environment. And that's why I was so impressed with the way that the Boks scrambled. So as soon as they did that, we weren't as set up as we might usually be in the contact situations at the breakdown. And because they were prepped for the chaos that was coming, they beat us to the punch quite a few times there.
And they also took our famed rush defense out the game in terms of line speed with that short kick. Basically, they didn't kick it deep at all. It was just over our advancing backs. And that causes hesitation. That causes doubt because you can't have Damian Willems in a sweeper role. He's too far back. But I just thought tactically they were magnificent.
It's a great tactic. Fantastic tactic. It created the chaos. Like I say, they were prepped for what was coming. And I'm just absolutely thrilled with the way our guys reacted to it. There was a lot of opportunity there to get frazzled. I texted you about it over the weekend. There's a moment where I think it's Kobus Reinach gets the ball in goal. And it's, you know, we've got to escape now, but we don't really have time to kick. The ball gets played to Marnie Lebok under the uprights. He steps off his inside foot and he's looking outside. He's got wings waiting for him in space. The pressure's coming from the inside. He's in the shadows of his uprights. I'm thinking, Marnie, if you play that ball wide, we are just digging ourselves into... And you can see, he makes the decision, no, I'm not going to take the bait. Steps off his left foot, comes back to the forwards, sets up the ruck, they slow it down and we exit. And like that's the kind of composure, that's a world championship side there. Across the board, those were the kind of decisions. We were all getting worked up at home. You look on the field, the guys are composed, taking it in their stride. Fantastic.
Look, there was a moment in the game, minutes 43 to probably 55. No Eben for those 8-9 minutes of the second half, the first ones. Sia coming off at 43 minutes. Dwayne coming off with an HIA test. Morsi subbed. He seemed quite surprised that he was subbed so early. 44 minutes, 14 tackles in that time. Halfbacks changed immediately. It was a mass kind of like changing, and we kind of struggled to settle.
Yeah.
I mean, Faf looked frantic.
Yeah. Well, the game started with him breaking down the blind without him realizing it.
So he looked a bit frantic there. It just looked that the cohesion had gone for a bit.
Big time.
And France just couldn't take advantage of that. Again, just down to some absolutely wonderful scrambling defense from us. And I saw Cheslin Colby's comments after the match where he said, as a team, they promise each other one thing, that they don't stop running until they see the try awarded to the opposition. And you can't teach that to someone. That you build over 5-6 years
Big time.
in terms of a culture.
Yeah.
Most coaches will tell you as well, you can never teach a player to scramble because you would never have known if you'd been there. And we go back to 2007 when JP Peterson made that incredible cover tackle when Fiji had brought it back to 20-all against us in Marseille in the quarterfinal. And he held the ball up, as Jake and Eddie Jones said at the time. If JP Peterson doesn't make it there, you can't criticize him. He could have been half yard off the pace. But he had the functional and emotional intelligence when it comes to rugby to start reading the play, and he made the effort to get there. And you saw that time and again with the Boks. And
it's not just scrambling on defense. It was the support on attack, the work rate off the ball. When we make that line break and we kick it downfield and DuPont goes back to collect it and he's tackled on his 5-meter line, as the ref blows his whistle to award us a penalty, we've just come 75 meters up the field. The ref blows his whistle to award us a penalty. Who's standing at the breakdown? Vincent Koch. Oaks just trekked 2/3 of the field to be there in support. That's a tight head prop.
even in those last 5 minutes, and it was the first time probably in 2 years that I've seen it, and definitely the first time in the match, there was a clearance kick from DuPont from within his own 22 that went about 10 meters. And it was the first time I've seen him look so much and not actually have options. He leaps and bounds ahead of anyone else at 9 in the world in the way he kind of, he's probably a different kind of version to Farida Prayer, but equally as impactful. Everything plays off 9 for the French team.
Yeah.
And but just tactically so astute. And when he gets that gap to go, and he got pounded, even putting some big hits on him. Sia putting some big hits on him. He just kept on getting up. That guy is one tough bastard.
Yes, he is. Yeah.
I mean, he's a Staffy Deluxe. And,
I like that.
As Sonny Boy Williams says, he grew up in the Pyrenees, fresh air.
That's all it takes.
That's what breathes in his lungs. But what a courageous, unbelievable performance from Antoine Dupont, from Fabian Galti in terms of...
Look, I'm watching it on the TV. Here we go. Watch this. At this break. Who's there? Vincent Koch, penalty.
Yeah, you've seen everyone ask, why do you keep on staring at yourself? But you're not. You're watching the game.
Mate, look at him. That's the tight end prop.
We have a big telly here.
That's beautiful.
You spoke about Ricky when you popped in. You spoke about I hope everyone slept well. I don't think anyone slept. I mean, I got to bed at 3, and it was because I was working. It wasn't because I was drinking. I actually didn't drink at all during yesterday because I want to be able to remember this game. Okay, and up at 6:30 with the little 2-year-old. So Monday morning, most were going to be bleary-eyed, but the sun came out. It was just absolutely blissful this morning to see that sun shine over Cape Town and shine over South Africa and South Africans wherever they may be. Just to see the reaction of Rassie Erasmus, Jacques Nienaber and the non-playing reserves.
Yeah.
That told you everything about how much this game meant to them.
Yeah.
And I think how they also knew they got out of jail.
No.
Because I don't think they anticipated France to be as good as they were.
Yes, and I yeah. We spoke about the selections. We spoke about Kobus Reinach starting and Manie Lebok starting and not the makeup of the bench. I mean, I just wonder whether the composition of that team, if it had been different, because if I look at the backs that came off the bench, I'm not sure how much tactical value that added in the second half. I wonder whether if the makeup of that team had been a bit different, this game may have favoured the Boks a little bit more. But the bottom line is, it went the way that it went, and we found a way to win, and that is the nature of a World Championship side. And so, I can totally see why everyone has celebrated the way they celebrated. I'm sure there's been games in the past where the Boks have won it, maybe by a margin larger than they expected because of the way the match rolled out, the opposition substitutions. I just wonder, without that Eben yellow card and that dead patch when the bench came on early in the second half, I feel like I never thought the Boks were out of control of this game. I just knew it was going to be a shootout the way that it was rolling, and there's always a potential in those situations for a ref call to really change the outcome.
Well, a good mate of mine texted me to say an anxious few minutes there, and I said to him an anxious 82. So I'd had the Boks to win by 12. They got the one part of it right, the one, not the two. I was so impressed with the French, and I thought, how the hell are we still in this at halftime? 22-19, because I knew our bench wasn't the famed bomb squad that was coming on.
Yes.
They were just unrelenting. I was looking at Antonio, the prop, thinking, when are you actually going to go off? He's now retired, by the way, from international rugby. They just kept on going. I mean, they were playing
their best rugby.
And they were playing for a nation, and the nation was out there in numbers supporting them.
100%.
You just had to hear the roar every time. A lot of Rickies in that crowd. And that's why I'll give O'Keefe his dues. He wasn't influenced by the noise of the crowd. Yes, we may say that he got some decisions. You disagree with him on both the French and the South African side.
Yeah.
But he kept his composure, he kept his calm. And in those last 6 minutes, my goodness, many a referee may have been swayed to go the home team way, because we also put ourselves in position to play high-risk rugby. When we try to count that clock down with 2 minutes to go, on the wrong side of the 50, I thought, well, here it comes. He's going to blow us for sealing off, and you can't debate that. You can say it's referee interpretation.
Yeah.
He just never did, and that's when Faf put up that up and under. It wasn't the greatest up and under, but it was the right play. It was get this ball as far away.
Move it away.
55 plus meters away,
Yeah.
and let them conjure up a try from the end of the world, or that miracle play to get the win.
Yeah.
And my goodness, I thought it was coming near the end. A fantastic strip, and then Faf doing the strip, and Cheslin just beating that ball basically back to Toulouse from Paris. Wow, I mean, the nerves, the anxiety, and we talk about watching it. Imagine being those players and being those coaches, there was nothing left from both sets of players. It was a gladiator battle.
Yeah, there was nothing left on the field. Everybody produced. Everybody contributed. It's difficult to look at that game as a neutral and say this player had a bad game. There isn't a person that you can really pick out. It was a phenomenal performance. That French hooker, Mavaka. I mean, that oak is a machine. Absolute freaking wrecking ball on his own.
Yes, and the way they play him into the game, and they find that the spaces around the fringes, and they were breaking our tackles, first time tackles, nearly every time, and it's seldom that I've seen that with the Boks side.
Yeah, but I mean, I agree that is true. But when you break the first 3 tackles and 5 guys are trying to tackle you, you're still getting tackled. Like I see Manie Lebok rope tackled Dante. You know, everybody put their shoulder into the cause here. It wasn't about, we're going to leave, the big oaks to make the big tackles. everybody was chucking themselves in and then straight back to their feet to contribute to the next tackle.
And
Incredible.
there's something to be said. You know, it's the old cliche that gets wheeled out every time.
Yeah.
Experience at World Cups. Players who have been there and done it before in big moments. Players who have never been there have the potential to do it. In the week building up to the thing, we said the one thing this Bok team had, the 20 of the 23 had been to a World Cup, and many had played in a final. Many had played in a tough semi-final against Wales. They could have gone either way in Japan.
Yeah.
2019 semi, 16-9 to the Boks. The Dialandi try and the Pollard penalty. 4 years later, we're talking about the Dialandi try and the Pollard penalty.
Jeez.
Two big players who came up with two big clutch moments. And kudos to the coaching staff for recognizing the role that Pollard had to play somewhere. I thought Marnie was very good in the 44 minutes he was on the field. He matures with every game that he's playing.
Yeah.
He kicked well. He adds an attacking dimension.
Big time.
But Pollard did what he had to do. He came on and he kicked a 52-meter penalty that he was never going to miss.
What was your reaction when you saw they won that penalty after defending and whatever, and Rassie was shouting into the mic, take the points, take the points. Did you think that was the right call?
Completely.
Really?
Completely, because our line-out hasn't been convincing.
Yeah.
We needed to get away from that three-pointer, knowing how comfortable it would have been for a referee just to give them a point. And I think the challenge there was they've then got to go score 5.
Yeah.
And the fact of the matter is we outscored them 4-3. One of these, the great attacking mastermind teams, France, were outscored by 4-3 in a World Cup quarterfinal at home against the Springboks, who at one stage, I think close to 70 minutes, we had 27% territory and 25% possession in the game. That evened out to, and I say evened out, to 40%
40,
possession,
yeah.
and I think it was 37% territory. They had 63% of the territory, and they had momentum. They were always on the front foot. They just couldn't finish us off. We wouldn't go away.
That is true.
There's a wonderful story about Tiger Woods and Ernie Els. And Tiger beats him in a playoff at the major. And Tiger Woods' caddy at the time tells the story that straight afterwards, Ernie's lost this major to Tiger Woods in his prime. And Tiger, the guys go out and they're just whacking some balls at the end. And Tiger says, maybe just one more time and you'll go away forever. That's the South African spirit. We just don't go away.
Correct.
And I looked at social media, rugby players from all over the world commenting. Digby Ione just said, I love these South Africans. He says their spirit, what they play for. Stephen Donald in the build-up to the game.
I saw that.
Just like they're a different animal. They're a different breed.
Yeah.
And they were true to everything last night in Paris of what makes this country's people so unique.
Yeah.
And we know how to scrap and we know how to fight.
Yeah.
And we also know how to celebrate. And
Listen, speaking of fight, let's just also big mention, big ups to Jesse Kriel for arguably his best game in the Springbok jersey. Came off looking like he'd been wrestling with a lion. Just his inputs absolutely on point every time, massive in defense. Huge value.
No, massive. I mean, the way he read the play and he read the play, but he was so definitive in his decision making.
Yeah, exactly. There wasn't a second guessing from him. It was
and he backed himself to
100%.
to be quick enough to get there to smother that defense.
Yeah.
And then when he got that one chance on attack to make a decision, the perfect ball on the foot, the bounce up for Colby and bye-bye Penno, and that was a great little foot
Beautiful.
race. And yeah, it was just outstanding. I mean, to see Jesse Kriel, who's been around for the best part of a decade, him and Dialani in 2015, they were the go-to centre pairing. There's some irony in that 8 years later he's back, having played second fiddle to Lakanya Am and Dialani in Japan, and being very prepared to be that team man and do so.
Yes.
So, yeah, to single out anyone is actually unfair in this kind of game.
Oxen chair.
Okay, it's not unfair, it's oxen chair. Yes, that guy can scrum, man.
Jeez. Hey? Wow.
But you know, when Jonah Loma ran over my cat and scored those 4 tries in '95, semi-final at Newlands, and I was sitting in that old Newlands press box just before the 22 when he trampled over him. And the late James Laughter, one of my favourite writers, his intro was on the game and on Lamu. He says, some things are not for analysis, but mere wonder. And I felt that when I watched the box last night.
Yeah.
This game is not to be analysed.
Spot on.
There's just a wonder we must take from it.
Yeah.
And a
Because
wonder in how they won it, and also
Yes.
a wonder in how they won it.
But the contest sort of superseded anything that was a sporting contest. I mean, I don't know if you can get closer to war than what happened there last night. That was just a sort of human collision. It was an incredible spectacle to witness.
All right, so big moments. Dwayne coming back on when Peter Steph went for the HIA. Funny how we never saw any broadcaster repeats of that. When him and Pinot had a bit of a head clash. Game just moved on. Broadcaster couldn't find that 3 seconds in a game.
Yeah.
Dwayne came back on, calmed things down quite a bit, settled Faf especially, and I just thought right near the end we played big moments like champion teams do.
Spot on.
And the only time I saw France a bit panicked was in those last 5 minutes, because 74 became 75, became 76, and they could see that game drifting away. And we saw it with Ireland the night before. When they realized we're actually not breaking down this New Zealand defense, they went into some form of robotic mode. Ian Foster said afterwards as well, they weren't one pass away. That was a copy and paste job. We just had to make our tackle and keep our discipline.
Spot on.
And then Sammy Whitelock, and we gave him horns. The most capped All Black of all time came up with a big play and the steal, and boom, New Zealand won. The mea culpa to all my New Zealand mates, to all the New Zealanders who ask me, what do you say now? I just say, bloody marvellous, mate.
Bloody marvellous, mate. Well done.
Yeah, I had Ireland to win by 15. If you'd asked me this morning to make the call, I would have said Ireland by 15 again.
Correct.
New Zealand produced the most incredible and passionate defensive display to win the game, having shown us what we always know they're capable of, 2 magnificent moments of magic to score. And that attacking score, as I said earlier, take a bow, Joe Smith, that had his fingerprints and his paws all over it. When Mohanga went, basically took Mahoney and Van der Fleer out the game, and then just wonderful decision making. And Jordan's just got some serious gas. They were never gonna stop.
I mean, that guy's got the star power like Curtly Orange, hasn't he? I mean, every time he touches the ball, it's 5 points. So phenomenal result. Incredible defensive resilience. Unlike the Boks, who have been building and building and building, and who, you know, there's a common thread, I suppose, in their selections and what they're doing, and a belief in Rassie because he won the last World Cup. The All Blacks went into that game. They couldn't have had that same level of confidence. They couldn't have been as sure that they were standing on solid ground. And yet they put in 225 tackles to deny the greatest attacking team in the world over the last 4 years from scoring when it mattered most on the biggest stage, in front of a crowd that was at least half Irish, if not more, right?
Probably say about 75% Irish. Okay.
So you got it. All you can do is tip your hat. I don't know where they found that heart. I don't know if it was in the wheeling the bags out from the vans. Maybe there was something in that, mate.
Look,
but wow.
Geordie Barrett as well, came up with a big play, kicked superbly, and then also that hold up to prevent the try. I mean, just it was. If you loved rugby or love rugby and you're neutral, you couldn't but just applaud Ireland for what they showed over 84 minutes and just be in awe of what New Zealand did.
Absolutely.
It was just a fantastic result, and whoever had won it, there couldn't be a complaint from the other side. And it came down to those fine margins. Equally, our match on a Sunday. I text a lot of people on Sunday morning saying, I think that's the best game of rugby I've ever seen. And then last night I wanted to text and say, I think I've just seen a better one. Same venue within 24 hours.
Yeah.
Interesting on the social media feeds how many of the top soccer players in the UK said they've just watched back-to-back rugby games for the first time ever, and we're just raving about it, raving about South Africa, raving about the Springboks and the
Glorious.
spirit. And I mean, you can't get a greater group of ambassadors in the Springbok squad when that's what the world is seeing. They're not seeing arrogance, they're not seeing boorishness. What they're seeing is just a team with an unbelievable desire to be successful and to play for each other and to play for a greater cause in a rugby match.
Yeah. I mean, you nailed it. I don't really know what else to say about that. This first round, regardless of what South Africa and New Zealand did, even that Argentina-Wales game, the Fiji-England game, just a great spectacle for rugby. I'm not surprised here that guys from other codes are noticing what's going on there. And this is just the beginning of the playoffs, mate. Still 2 rounds to go.
No, completely. And I mean, you've got the thing. New Zealand's won the World Cup 3 times. We won the World Cup 3 times. We're now the most successful team, 78% in terms of advancing out of the quarterfinals from getting there. Remember, we've played 2 less tournaments than New Zealand has. We win isolation, 87 and 91.
Yeah.
2 of the great nations the greatest nations of world rugby. All Blacks have been off song for the last 4 years. The Boks have been inconsistent. France, Ireland have been outstanding. France have always been there and thereabouts. Ireland, this was their golden generation. If not now, then when? And the question now gets asked, when for them? They've got to go and do the rebuild. You look at Leinster, back-to-back defeats in the Champions Cup. Never made it through to the finals of the United Rugby Championship. The same group of players fell just short in a match that they certainly believed that they would win. It may also just stifle, add a bit more humility to the Irish again over the next couple of years. But they were brilliant. Johnny Sexton, farewell, 38. I think he could still play for another 2 years. You look at Dwayne Vermeulen, the way he's played at 37, 38. Dion Fourie at 37. What a story to come off the bench, replace Siya Kolisi in 43 minutes, then go to hooker for those last few scrums. And this was a guy who left France 3 years ago, having been there for 8 years, to come home and enjoy a brandy and Coke in Cape Town and play for the province and the Stormers. Wow, just absolutely outstanding performances. Bongi Mbanami captained the side, led the side, did a shift of 73 minutes, showing it is possible. And as we said, the only France left in the World Cup is Francie Malherbe. So all round, just wonderful. We're going to chat later in the week, obviously, about team selections. Do they go 5-3 against England? Do they go 6-2? What's the makeup of that bench? Do they go back to what's worked in terms of the bomb squad? But feel very good this morning to be South African. Also feel very good to enjoy rugby.
Yes, and just on a little side note there, Jacques Nienaber and Rassie must have celebrated that All Blacks win, not necessarily because they want to play the All Blacks at this World Cup, but Jacques is on his way to Ireland. Rumour has it Rassie's going to end up going there as well. That result would have done them a huge favour in terms of where they're headed, because Jacques was facing the prospect of having to go to Ireland that has this attacking culture where it's all about attack, it's all about flair. He was going to walk into a coaching room without his mate for the first time and have to convince a bunch of attack-minded people that defence is really, really important. And I'm obviously simplifying it, but that would have been a real prospect in the coaching room. And New Zealand beat Ireland on pure grit and defence. South Africa, we took our chances, but we beat France on pure grit and defence. And that's gonna give Jacques a great platform to make changes in Leinster. And you said you don't really know when Ireland is going to ever get to the semi-finals. They're going to get to the semi-finals of the next World Cup, mate, with Jacques and Rassie involved in the mix there. That's my gut feeling. And they'll be the best defensive team at the World Cup. I think this World Cup, these massive playoff games are again opening everybody's eyes to the fact that, yes, every aspect of the game is important, but the foundation is you've got to be able to defend. And when it comes down to an attacking team taking on a defensive team, the defensive team wins in rugby. And that refresher, that revision of that fact about rugby, I think is going to stand Jacques in good stead at Leinster. And I think for Irish rugby, as much as this is a step backwards for them, they'll feel like that. This could be the beginning of the next phase of their evolution into a real rugby powerhouse with sustainable ability to go and win championships.
All right. Well, for now, Zels is now called the future. Thanks for that, mate.
I'm just saying, that's my gut feel from watching what we watched.
Right. For now, the good thing is Jacques and Rassie are still with us. Rassie's still the director of South African rugby, and Jacques still got, hopefully, 2 games that he's got left. That the one is a final. They've got England, the old enemy, 24-10 up. It got to 24 all Fiji, and I don't think Matthew Raynell did them any favours at the breakdown, but I don't think they did themselves any favours either. And I think on balance, England did enough to win, as Argentina did enough to win against what I thought was probably the most disappointing result was the Welsh effort that they put in. Jaco Peyper going off after 7 minutes. Pulled his calf. Warren Gatlin said that changed the momentum of the game. I don't think so, mate. You still had 73 minutes to win it. You were 7-0 up, you were 10-0 up, and then you kind of blew it. But 3 Southern Hemisphere teams and the 2 big dogs traditionally are in that semi-final. 1 Northern Hemisphere team. England somehow got there. France and Ireland the two most consistent teams in world rugby over the last 3 years, they went home by the smallest of margins. And when I look at everything, I think the biggest lesson should have been to Eddie Jones. Mate, if you want to see a smash and grab, you should have been in Paris last night.